Hello again, everyone. This is Zombie Kids Rule, and I'm back with a tutorial for how I recreated the Eye of the Beholder character generation process in RPG Maker MZ. So I have a couple of videos, two of my recent videos. One was showing most of the functionality that I recreated, comparing it with the original Eye of the Beholder, and then I just uploaded another short video showing a couple additional features that I added because I had previously missed them. So those are there if you have watched them to see exactly what I recreated and what it looks like. So this is going to be a tutorial to show exactly how I did it. Now I may not be able to do it all in one video, and I need to set a couple, I guess, ground rules here. Not really ground rules, but just to explain a few things. I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, you already know how to do some of the basics. So you know how to work with variables. You know how to do the event commands for control variables. You know how to use switches. You know how to use conditional branches and even nested conditional branches. You're familiar with where to find the script option in the event commands. So I'm not going to explain those. Some of my other tutorials, I explain in detail how to do many of those things, how to do arrays and things. So in this tutorial, because it's quite a bit and it's pretty lengthy, I'm not going to explain all those things. I'm just going to say, hey, we're turning a switch on here, we're turning a switch off there. We're using this variable to do this, that sort of thing. So I will. One of the good things about this is that it is a lot of copying and pasting. The bad part is that because there is a lot of copying and pasting, there is a lot of opportunity to miss something small. Because when you copy and paste something, you're going to have to change things like switch names, variable names, things like that. And if you miss one of them, you may not realize it until much later, because there's so much to this that it's really hard to test every combination and everything like that. So hopefully I have worked out all the logic problems, or all the reasoning problems. I fixed all that. It looks like it's functioning the same, pretty much the same as the original Eye of the Beholder game. So if you do try to recreate this, then if there are mistakes, it may very well be that you didn't recreate it exactly the way it is. You forgot to change something, whatever. And of course, if you decide to modify this to further experiment, or to do certain things for how you want to use it, then of course you could introduce other problems that way. So again, I'll do my quick caveat here that I usually say. I always say I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. This is just, I figured out how to do this, and it is apparently working. And I don't say this is necessarily the best way to do it or the most efficient way to do it. In fact, someone could watch this and say, hey, there's a easier way to do this piece or that piece. And I may also be able to show you a couple places where there are easier ways to do it, but I just didn't change the way I had done it originally. So anyway, we'll see. I may not be able to get all of this in one tutorial, but we'll see where we go. And I may have to do it in pieces. So I'm not going to demonstrate this like I normally do, because the other two videos already demonstrate this. So we're just going to jump right in with the explanation. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the switches and the variables that I used. What I did here was I actually am using a project that has a whole bunch of experiments in it. So my range of switches and variables is higher up, and I did try to keep things organized. But one of the things is as I was developing this, I realized, oh, I need a switch for this. Oh, I need a switch for that. Oh, I need a variable for this. So it does get a little disorganized. So I'm just going to go through these really quickly. These are the switches I ended up needing. I needed a switch for fighter type class and thief type class. I needed switches for those, and I'll explain why later. I needed switches for the these are the character creation or character generation. I needed 4 boxes. Those are the character boxes that you select, and I needed switches to see if the character was complete. I needed a switch for CC box highlight, meaning that I'll show you where we're using that, but I had a switch for that. I had 4 switches for the 4 boxes. So switches to show that they're complete, and switches to show which character box I'm currently generating. I had switches for the races and genders, so knowing what race and what gender was selected. So that's what all these switches are, from human male down to halfling female. Then I had switches for the race classes, so the human class, elf class, half-elf class, all the way down to halfling class. I had switches for all those. This is a switch, MC3. That's a switch that says, is this a multi-class character, and is it one of the ones that is 3? So like cleric, fighter, mage, right? Or fighter, mage, thief. So MC3. MC, or I should say multi-class, that's just, this is a multi-class character. So it has more than one classes. I had switches for each of the possible class combinations, so the single classes and then the multi-class, so there's separate switches for each of those. Then there's a switch for alignments, meaning that you're working with alignments. Then there's switches for each alignment, so each of the 3 goods, each of the 3 neutrals, each of the 3 evils. There's a switch for STR or strength bonus. So I needed that when we're dealing with the bonus 1801 to 18100. I had 4 switches for if you are viewing the characters that you have created. So there's 4 characters you can create, and switches to show that which one are you viewing at the time. Then there are switches for if you are modifying the 6 attributes, so modify strength all the way down to modify charisma. Then there's modify HP, because again, that's one of the things that you can modify, so there's a switch for that. Then I needed, towards the tail end, as I was adding things, I needed a switch for if there's a paladin in the party, a switch for if there's an evil party member, and then I needed switches for if one of the characters that's been created is evil, right? So basically, switches that are showing if any of the characters that you are creating are evil, and that's it. That's a different test. So those are the switches that I ended up using. Okay, all right, and then for variables, let's see. Yeah, here we go. So for variables, I ended up using a variable for race variable number. So in addition to a race name, which is being stored as a string, there's also a number associated with it. I have 4 variables for the race of each of the characters that you can create, a variable for the character creation step number, so what step in the process, where are you in the process, 4 variables to store the class, right, the name of the class for each of the 4 characters, 4 variables to store the alignment of the characters you create. And then there are 4 sets of variables for the attributes. So CC1 is the first character, and you have the 6 attributes. So you need variables for all those. Then you need variables for the 6 attributes for the second character, the third character, and the 4th character. okay, the fourth party member, right? So then I had variables to save the character's armor class, AC, the character's hit points, the character's level, right, that you're going to display, and then the character's portrait. Okay, so there's four characters, four portraits. Need variables for each one of those. Then I needed, I didn't actually need this one, I don't believe, but these variables are being used for when you are scrolling through the portraits that you can select. So I actually ended up only using 3 because you can only see 3 at a time. But those are the variables for that. I have a variable for hit point minimum value. Had a variable for a constitution modifier, a variable for the max attribute value, a variable for the hit point max value, a variable for strength bonus max, right? I had, and again, I'll show each in each of the events. I'll show you where these come out. I needed variables for hit points die 1, die 2, die 3, die 4. And then hit point die total. So actually, I discovered I needed an additional dice, which is why it shows up after the dice total. Okay, then this is basically the levels for essentially when you're, if I remember correctly, these are being used for calculating hit points, I think. But regardless, so character CC1 has the multi-class level 1, CC1 multi-class level 2, CC1 multi-class level 3. So the maximum levels that someone could have would be 3, because you can have 3 classes. You can be a triple class character, and that's what these are basically storing as variables. So it's character CC2, right, has all the same things, level 1, 2, and 3. CC3, 1, 2, and 3. CC4, 1, 2, and 3. Then multi-class die 1, multi-class die 2, multi-class die 3, and then multi-class die total. And then I had the characters, variables to store the character's name, the party members' names. Okay? And then variables for the 4 characters' strength bonus, and then the bonus display, because needed an additional variable to be able to display the bonus if it's applicable. Then down here, this is a constitution modifier array. So it's an array that's being used in relationship to the constitution modifier. I can't remember if I kept that or if I went a different direction, but anyway, it was there. And then that's it. Okay, so those are the variables that I ended up using right off as I went through and built these. Okay, so now I'll show you the event that kicks this off. Okay, so this is the character creation setup. Right, this is the first event that launches when I select playtest, because it is set to auto run. And throughout this, I tried very hard to put in comments as to everything that's going on to refresh my memory. So first thing that happens is this is disabling the menu, so that you can't pull up the traditional menu that you have access to in RPG Maker. So you can do that in event commands. Just change menu access, you disable it. Then this is showing the background image, right? The large background image. That's showing this. Then this is showing the banner at the top of the screen. So there's a scroll banner, and then this right here is using the text picture plugin to show the text character generation, and the /C17, that's changing the color of it. And using the text picture, you have to have a show picture after that. So this shows the overall background, this shows the scroll banner at the top, and then this this and this shows the words character generation at the top. And I'm not going to go into all the things about the location and the size and everything like that. I'm just showing you the functionality of how I did it, and I had to play around with the size of the image and where to put them and all this other things. Okay. All right. So, and I will say that I have learned subsequently that my images shouldn't have spaces in the image name, and going forward, I'm going to have to fix all that. But anyway, you will see some bad examples of image names in this actual event that I made. So then the next thing that happens is it's going to show 4 selectable portrait boxes and name boxes for the characters. So that's the empty portrait boxes and the empty name boxes. And all I did was I had an image asset that was a border, right? A colored border. This happens to be yellow. It was a yellow border. And so I show picture, and then this is another plugin that comes with RPG Maker MZ. I've highlighted this before. It's the button picture plugin. And so with the button picture, you just designate which picture number and the common event that you want it to call, and this makes it clickable. It makes the picture clickable. So you're going to see this a lot. So it shows the first box and makes it clickable. Then it shows the name box, the blank name box, and that's just a picture for now, right? It's just an image. Then it shows another yellow border box, right, in a different location, makes it clickable with the button picture command. Then it shows the name box underneath that picture. Then it shows a third yellow border box where the character portrait will go, makes it clickable. Then it shows the name box underneath. Then it makes a fourth yellow border box, empty yellow border box, and makes it clickable. Right? So again, make sure that you're changing your picture number, make sure you're changing your common event for these plugin commands. And then it shows the last name box. And again, I just had to play around with this as to where I wanted them to be on the screen. And of course, you have to have the assets to use as pictures. Then this is showing a blank button that will become the play button. So I had an asset that was just a red box, and it's blank. At first, it doesn't have the word play in it yet because it's not ready to. So that sets that on the screen. Then this is a terrible thing. I should have renamed the name of this image, right? This picture. I didn't, and so that's something I'll have to fix later. But this is the I guess it's the page looking background. Right, the page looking background where information appears. Okay, so that's what this is. It's the page background. Then this is displaying the initial message. It's using text picture. So again, you use the plugin text picture, and you can basically type as much as you want, right, in there, and it shows as a picture. That's why you have this show picture 10 none. This show picture is what shows this text on the screen, and then this is just advancing the page to the next page. Control self switch A is on so that it switches to this page, which is a blank page. That basically it turns this page off. Right, so this runs once, and then it turns itself off by switching to page 2. Okay, and that's the first event. So basically, it disables the menu, sets the background, shows the banner at the top, shows the words at the top, the character generation words. It sets the 4 portrait boxes that are yellow borders and blank, and the name boxes. Then it shows the blank play button. Then it shows the page looking graphic on the right hand side. Then it shows the text to the player. Then it turns itself off. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like if you remember from the demo. But here's the background. here's the scroll, here's the letters, here's each of the boxes, here's the name boxes, here's that blank play button, here's the page looking thing, and then here's the information to the player. Okay, that's what that first event that's running in auto run and then turning itself off, that's what's doing this. Okay, now this event, these are the only two on-map events. Everything else is done through common events. What this event is doing is it's making the boxes flash, turn green and flash when you are creating a character. So it has a switch, CC box highlight, right, is on. So this switch gets turned on at the appropriate time, which activates this map event, which is running in parallel. So as soon as this switch gets turned on, this event starts to run. And when this switch gets turned off, it turns off, right? So it'll run continuously until this switch gets turned off. This is a very short event. So event that changes the color of the appropriate character box when the switch is turned on, meaning this one. Make the selected box that is changed to a green border and make it flash. So this is a series of conditional branches. Conditional branch. If CC box 1 is on, right? That's a switch. So if box 1 is turned on, wait 5 frames, right? So wait 5 frames. Then this is the move picture event command, and it's moving the appropriate picture number, which was which is the yellow box, right? And it is yes, and somewhere else the color of the box is being changed. So this is just moving the picture. So it's moving picture 4, and what it's doing is it's going to 0 transparency, right, to 255. So there are two move things, and there's a wait, and it's being done 60 frames. So essentially, opening this up is you designate your picture number, you designate how fast you want it to go, the coordinates of the image, right, and essentially the duration, how long you want it to take. I'm waiting for completion, right? And you have your scale width is it all depends on what you're doing. You can use this to make pictures get bigger and smaller, to move across the screen, or in this case they stay where they are but they fade in and out, right? So this is moving to it. Picture 4 had an opacity of 255. You're setting it to 0, and it's taking 60 frames, that means 1 second, to essentially fade out, fade until it disappears. And then this is making it fade back in, 255. So it's going from 0 back to 255. It's taking a second to do it. Okay? And the reason you have a wait here is if you don't have the wait, it'll start this and then it'll immediately go to this, and you don't want that. You want it to wait here. So all these two moving things they are essentially taking a picture 4, initially changing the opacity down to 0 and taking 60 frames to do it, and then taking that same picture, which is now at opacity of 0 or transparency of 0, meaning you can't see it, and putting it back to the full opacity, whatever. You're bringing it back so you can see it to 255, and you're basically taking 1 second, 60 frames to do it. So that's what it's doing, and this is repeated for each of the 4 boxes, and all you have to do is change of course, the switch if CC box 2 is on, and then you've got to change the picture number and of course the location, right, where it is. And then again, if CC box 3 is on, then picture 6, change the location, right, but it's 0, 225, right, it's the same movement thing. Same thing, CC box 4. Okay? And that's all this event does. So essentially, the box, the portrait box that is empty, that's on the screen, this event makes whichever box that you have selected to create a character, it makes it fade in and out. That's all these conditional branches are doing. It's making it fade in and out. Okay? So that's what this event does. All right. Now, we have those are the only two map events. Everything else is common events. Okay? So, common events. Now, I have quite a few common events here, and I'm just going to highlight them really quickly, and then again, this video will go longer, so it'll be a multi-part video. So, this common event is a back option. So when you see the back button on the screen and you can go backwards in the character generation process, this is the common event that allows that to happen. There's a common event for each of the character party member boxes. So when you click on a box, it triggers one of these common events. There are common events for each of the race and gender. So there's common events from human male and human female all the way down to halfling male and halfling female. So common events for each one. Because remember, these are all triggered by clicking on something. I click on human male, and this is the common event that says, okay, what do I do when the person clicks on that? There are common events for the classes, so human classes, elf classes, all the way down to halfling classes. There are common events for all of the class combinations, right? Because you have to have a common event that can be clicked on, right? You click on something to select it, and that triggers a common event. There is a common event for overall alignments, and then there's a common event for each of the alignments. There's a common event for bioscreen. There's a common event for dice rolls, HP determination. There's a common event for CC portrait right, CC portrait left. That means moving the 3 available portraits to choose to the right or left, so you can scroll through them. And then there's common events for if you're selecting the first portrait, second portrait, or third portrait. There's a common event for the final buttons, meaning in the buttons that show at the end of the character creation process, which were common event for reroll, common event for modify, common event for faces, common event for keep. There's a common event for the name input. There's a common event for viewing characters. And there's a common event for each of the portraits that you can select to view a completed character. Then there's common events for each of the attributes you can modify. Okay, there's a common event for modifying hit points. There's the common events plus and minus that's being used when you modify something. You're increasing or decreasing the value. There's a common event for the OK button, meaning you're done. Then there's a common event for the delete button or close button when you are viewing characters. So those are all your common events. All right. Okay. So let's start going through some of these. And I'll try to go through these in some semblance of an order. So they pretty much flow, except this back option. Like I said, I tried to stay organized, and then things sometimes get out of whack. So I'll come to the back option when it becomes available. So these 4 common events are going to be, what you're going to see is a lot of these are just copy and paste with changes to, say, switches or variables or things like that. Okay, so CC box 1, this is the common event that gets called if the player clicks on the first box to make a character. If they clicked on the second one, it would trigger this one, third, fourth. Okay, these are very, very similar. So what's going on? So this is a common event called when the player selects the first character box, CC box 1, allows the player to select a race, or calls the common event to view the applicable character, because once a character's finished, you can you'll be clicking on these boxes, and it will tell the game that, oh, there's already a character there. I actually want to view the character instead. Then this comment is basically saying character creation steps variable is 745, CC step number, and here are the numbers associated. So when I'm selecting race, it's step 1. Selecting class, it's step 2. Selecting alignment, it's step 3. Bioscreen, step 4. When the party is complete and I'm viewing only, it's step 5. So those are just the steps that are those are the values that are being used in that variable 745. Then there's race variable numbers. So in addition to the race name, there's a number associated with it. Okay, so human is 1, elf is 2, half-elf 3, dwarf 4, gnome 5, halfling 6. And then this comment, again, check to see if character has already been created. If CC1 complete switches on, then trigger the view option. Okay, so the first time the player ever clicks on this box, well, there's no completed character, so it's gonna skip right over this, right? Because this is a conditional branch. If CC1 complete switch is on, then call the common event view CC1, and then exit the event processing. So skip everything else, just exit. But this won't be true, right? Because we haven't created a character for CC1 yet. So it's going to kind of just check this and go, nope, it's not on, so it's going to jump down here. Later, when we have created a character for box 1 and the player clicks on that created character, it'll start running through here, right? It skips over the comments, gets to here, and says, oh, the CC1 box, CC1 complete switches on, so I'm going to call a different common event, and I'm going to just exit this one. I don't need to be in this one, okay? So that's what this is for. Then we have set the step number, so we're setting the variable to step 1. Turn on the switch to activate the map parallel event to make the selected box flash. So this is turning on that switch, CC box highlight, which turns the switch on to make this box start working. Turn off the switches for CC box 1 through CC box 4. Okay, so what it's doing is because you could click on any of these boxes, right? So what's happening is if you've previously clicked on one, right, it's basically turning off all 4 of these switches. Okay, that's what this is doing. It's turning off a range of switches, and then it's turning on the switch that is just for this box. Okay, so it turns off the 4, right? Don't know if there's any active, but we're just going to turn them all off. And then it turns on the 1 box that you're on, CC box 1. Okay? Now, this is erasing the pictures 10 through 34. So it's erasing anything that was possibly previously in that information area. Right? So it's not erasing the background, it's not erasing the title, it's not erasing the character portrait boxes. This is actually erasing content that is in that right-hand side of the screen in the information boxes. Right? That's what this is doing. It's a script, okay? And it is erasing all of those pictures 10 through 34. So in the script, right, this is an event command, page 3, for, and then parentheses, var, variable, but var, I equals 10, semicolon, I less than 34, right, plus 1, semicolon, I plus plus, and then the closing parentheses, okay? Then there's these curly brackets. Then it's saying what to do. $game screen dot erase picture. So this is the script to erase a picture. And it's inside the parentheses, instead of a picture number, it's I. Because up here, the script is telling what is the value of I, right? Value of I is 10. Okay? And then it's erasing essentially picture 10, right? Semicolon, and then closing brackets. And then if basically I is less than 35, then I++. This means you're just adding 1 to the value of I. So I is 10, which this erases picture 10. If I, 10, is less than 35, then I++ means I is now 11. So it erases picture 11, comes back, right? And it just basically goes through until it reaches a value of 35, and then it stops. So this is a very handy script if you want to erase a bunch of pictures instead of just doing single event commands. Okay, you're going to see this quite a number of times and I'm not going to repeat it each time. So that's how that works. Now, make it so 3 other boxes or portraits can't be selected. So remember that once you, in these events over here, we used the button picture plugin to make the images selectable. Until a picture is erased or it's reshown, that plugin still is valid. Right? So if you make a picture selectable using the button picture plugin, it stays selectable until you either erase that picture or you override that picture. So that's what this is doing. Once the player selects box 1, we don't want them to be able to select box 2, 3, or 4 until they're done creating their character. So that's what these are doing. Okay? So basically what this is saying, if CC2 complete is on, right, this right here is a else conditional branch, and because it's going to show one of 2 things. Okay, if CC2 complete is on the switch, that means you've already created a character for the second portrait. Well, in that case, this script is showing the portrait in the appropriate spot. So you're going to see this script quite a bit too. $game screen dot show picture, and then in parentheses 95 is the picture number, comma, and then this is a variable. So rather than showing this is the picture number that you're going to show. This is the actual picture ID, so the image ID. So instead of putting that there, this is using a variable instead. The value of variable 797. So $game variables dot value in parentheses 797. And then this is the rest of the show picture stuff, where it starts, the X and the Y, the size, right, the height and the width and the height, and then the transparency or opacity, and then this is I can't remember. Let's see, show picture. It's basically these values. Oh, blend mode, right? So these things like width, height, opacity, blend mode, X and Y, picture number, image, right? Those are all here, okay? So using a script to show this, and I'm doing it because I want to use a variable instead of an actual image ID. So if we've completed, if the player has completed a character for box 2, then it's going to re-show that portrait. If this is off, so if the switch is off because the player has not created a character, then it's going to show that yellow border empty box in the appropriate spot, right? Picture 5, picture 95, but it's going to show it in the appropriate spot. But because we're not using the button picture plugin afterwards, these pictures are no longer clickable. So just to go back, when we're here, we're showing these pictures and making them clickable, right? And then this right here, when later on, when the character is finished and the portrait is shown in the appropriate spot, it will be clickable because the player has to be able to click on it so that they can view it if they want to. So all this is doing is it's saying, hey, you're in character box 1. So the other 3, we're going to make it so we're going to re-show those pictures. We're going to not use the button picture plugin. So these are no longer clickable for the time being. So it's, again, just using a conditional branch. If the switch is on, then show the portrait. If it's off, right, else, if it's off, then show that empty yellow border picture box. Okay, and it does that for all 3 portraits. So if CC3 is on, right, if CC3 complete is on, show that picture, show that portrait in the appropriate spot. Or if it's off, show the empty yellow border box. If CC4 complete is on, show the portrait that was selected. And if it's off, else, show the empty yellow border. Okay, that's what those 3 conditional branches are doing. Then make the CC1 box border green to show that it has been selected. So again, picture 4, it was a yellow border box. Now it's a green border box in the exact same place. And again, over here, this event is running to make that green border fade in and out. Okay, waiting 10 frames. And then show race options, because when you click this box, when you click the empty portrait box, the very first thing that you're allowed to do is pick the race and gender. So that's what these this next portion is doing. It's going to display the select race information. So it's going to use the text picture plugin to show select race, and then use the show picture to display this. Then it's going to show the options using text picture and the show picture, right? So text picture, human male, show that. Human female, show that. Elf male, show that. And again, you notice that the X's, the X values aren't changing, but the Y values are for where the picture gets shown. Okay? And it goes through all of the race and gender options to make them show on the screen. And then this last script is, you're going to see this in a few different places. Sometimes it's better to put the button picture plugin commands after each picture, or just separately. Sometimes you can use a script. This is a script to set a bunch of button picture plugin commands at once. So script to make all race options selectable. So again, a script event command using script for parentheses, let I equal 1 semicolon, I less than 13, right? Semicolon, I plus plus. Remember, I already explained this. So I has a value of 1. If I is less than 13, then you're going to add 1 to I. So I plus plus means you go from 1 to 2. Now, in the actual what are we doing part, the curly brackets, plugin manager.call command, parentheses, this, comma, and then in single quotations, button picture. So this is basically using the, it's a script to use the button picture plugin, a comma, single quotations, set, comma, and then in curly brackets, picture ID, semicolon, 10. Okay, so this is the picture number that you're using, plus I, so 10 plus I is 11, comma, and then it's calling the common event ID, colon, 344 plus I, closing curly brackets, closing parentheses, semicolon, and then closing curly brackets and semicolon. You have to be very careful to make sure that if you have a opening curly bracket, you have to have closing curly brackets, right? Opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket. Let's see, open parentheses, closing parentheses, right? It's very, very important that you have those. Okay, so that's what it looks like in script form. And again, this is a script to call a common a plugin, which is basically taking the place of this page 3 plugin command, where you choose your plugin, so button picture, and then you have to pick the picture number and the common event, right? And you remember set was in there. So this is what the plugin is. You're setting it. This is the picture number and the a common event. And that's what this is replicating, right? Plugin manager.call command. Remember, be careful of your capitals. This, and then single quotations, button picture. That's the plugin. Make sure you've got all your commas, single quotations. Set, so that was also in that plugin command option. And then your picture ID, right? The picture ID number, so 10 plus I is 11. And then your common event ID, 34 plus I, right, is 35. And you're like, well, wait a second. Why? What is, how do you know what's what? Well, let's see. What was picture 11? Well, picture 11 was human male, right? 11, human male. And the first one is 344 plus I is 345. So look over here. Oh, 345 is human male. So picture 11, human male, 345. Then we add 1 to it. Picture 12 is human female, 346. Okay? So that's how that script is working. I could have, instead of using this script, I could have just gone here and said, I want this to be selectable, so I'm going to go ahead and do plugin command, button picture, picture number is 11, and then the common event is all the way down human male, right? So I could have done that, and it would have been 11, 11, 345, 345, human male. So I could have done that, right? But instead, I just went ahead and used a script. Okay, I don't do this very often. There were some problems with doing it, like if you're skipping picture numbers or things. Okay, so that's what that script is doing. Now, that's the entire event, and each of these is almost the same, except that you have to change just a few things. Okay, so I'll highlight it again with box 2, and I'll just show you what's changing. All of this is the same, right? So actually this should be changed to second character box. I just realized that. That should say second character box. These other ones stay the same. If CC2 complete switches on, right, you have to change this conditional branch. If CC2 complete switches on, right, because we're on CC2, common event view CC2, right, so not CC1, CC2. And then this is the same, this is the same, this is the same. You've got to change this, right? You've got to turn on the appropriate switch for box 2. This is the same. And then down here, for this one said if CC2 complete is on, CC3, CC4. Well, now we're in box 2. So this has got to be if CC1 complete is on, then show the appropriate portrait, or show the yellow border if it's not on. And then this was the same as the previous common event. This is the same, right? So the only thing that changed here was this changed from if CC2 complete is on to switch to if CC1 complete is on. And then of course the comments changed if CC2 border box border green, or make it green, right? So you have to change your picture number, right? Your picture number. And then these are all the same. So from here all the way down to here, that's just copy and pasted that was not changed. Okay, so none of that changed because the select race stays the same and all the options stay the same. Okay, and then the rest of these are the same thing. If you're in box 3, this should change to third character box, CC3. If CC3 complete is on, view, common event CC3. This stays the same, this stays the same. Change this, and the switch. This stays the same. And now these three ones are if CC1 complete is on, if CC2 complete is on, skip CC3 because that's the one we're on, if CC4 complete is on, right? So again, you're just showing the portrait or the empty box, whichever one. And remember, you're doing this because you don't want those to be clickable anymore. Then again, down here, you've got to show the correct border, right? So now we're on picture 6 instead of 5 and 4. And then all of this stayed the same. And then the same is true for the next box, right? It's essentially just changing those little pieces, the switches and some of the conditional branches and some of the pictures, right? So, but other than that, excuse me, other than that, if you make one of these events and you get it correct, it's just a matter of copying and pasting it for each of these, and then just changing the appropriate switches, conditional branches, picture IDs, that sort of thing. Okay? All right, so I'm actually going to have to stop here because I'm almost out of time for the quiet time that I have. So I'm going to stop here with this first part of the tutorial, and when I have quiet time again, I will come back and pick up here with the races. Okay, and so before I do, I'm just going to show you, remind you what we were just essentially working on. And so we had that map event that did this, right? We had the map event that set all this up. Then these are the boxes that you're clicking for those common event. CC box 1, CC box 2, CC box 3, CC box 4. I can click on any of these. I'll click on CC box 4. Now that common event triggered to show these, right? To show these. And that other map event got turned on to make the border, which is now green, fade in and out. So that second map event is running constantly to make that fade in and out, and this was displayed from that common event, CC box 4. Okay, and then as we select these, those are the other common events we haven't talked about yet. Okay, so again, here, right? First map event takes care of this. I click on a box. This has called that common event for CC box 2, and it triggered the map event to make this start flashing, and then it displayed these options that I have that I can now select, right? Okay, and so just because I didn't highlight it, I'll just show you here. When you are down here, when you are showing the select race, again, remember you can use the commands in the text, right? /C, and then in brackets a number. That's changing the color of the text. So that's changing this to blue. The default is white. Okay? All right. So again, very easy. Create one of these, and then the other three are just copy and paste and make the appropriate changes, right, as you go through. And talked about this, which sets up the actual event itself. and then this, which is once that switch is turned on, it makes this start to run in parallel, and it just causes the appropriate box to flash, right? This is why we have those switches for which box we're working with, because it says which one is supposed to be flashing on and off. Okay? All right, so that's the first part. And when I have time to come back, I will show you essentially this all the way down to halfling female. So all of these are going to be very, very, very much the same. They're just changing information. Okay, changing switches, changing certain things, but they're essentially, you make one, and then you're going to copy and paste a lot for these events. And the same thing's going to be true with the classes, right? You make one, and then you're just going to make changes to the others. Same's going to be true with all the different. So these are the all the human classes, all the elf classes, all the half-elf classes. Down here with the actual classes themselves, it's going to be the same thing. You make one, and the rest of these are very, very similar. You're just changing some of the information. Same thing with the alignments, okay? And then, we'll get down to some of these that, some of them are also duplicate, but they're start to get into different things. All right. Well, anyway, I hope that I hope this first part has been clear. I hope I didn't miss anything as I was highlighting those the different parts up to this point. And again, I'm not trying to show you how to do this as far as this is how you turn on a switch, this is how you set a variable, this is how you this is where you click to create a conditional branch. I'm assuming that you already know how to do that, right? If you don't, then you need to take a step back and you need to watch some basic tutorials of how to use conditional branches, how to use else's in conditional branches, how to do switches and variables and all that other stuff. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, folks. I hope this first part is helpful. I really appreciate your feedback. I will try to get the next part up as soon as I can. I just need to have quiet time to be able to record it uninterrupted. So this is part one, and hopefully maybe this weekend I'll be able to do another couple parts and get this done. All right. Well, until that time, folks, I hope you're having a great New Year. Happy gaming, happy game developing, and if you do have feedback on this first part, please let me know. And if I miss something or if I can do something differently to help you, I will try to do it in the next parts coming up. And so anyway, I wish you the best of luck. I hope these things are helpful for you in your RPG Maker learning journey, and I will talk to everybody later. All right, bye.